The floors at Morel and Company sparkled like polished ice, cold and clear beneath the morning sun, reflecting back every tap of expensive heels and the confident clack of sleek leather shoes. Each step echoed like a quiet drumbeat in a place where silence was sacred and presence was power. The front desk didn't just sit in the lobby. It stood, like it belonged in a high-end gallery rather than a corporate building. Curved walnut panels shimmered under the lights, highlighted with delicate brass inlays that caught your eye just enough. A tall glass vase held white orchids that hadn't drooped in weeks, probably months, untouched by time or stress. The air smelled faintly of citrus and something else, success, maybe, or control. Whatever it was, it screamed wealth. But not loud, brash wealth, the kind that whispers, "I own the room." Elena stepped through the glass doors slowly, deliberately, as if unsure the ground would hold her weight. She clutched her fabric tote close to her ribs like a shield, its straps worn thin. Her blazer hung off her frame, not out of fashion, but out of time, too big in the shoulders, the lining frayed at the wrists. Her shoes, scraped and ghost white, whispered 1,000 miles walked. They knew stories of early mornings, missed buses, and long hours serving coffee with a fake smile at the corner diner. Her fingers trembled slightly, not from nerves exactly, but from how tightly she'd been holding her resume. The edges were bent, curled under from the pressure. She wasn't unaware of how out of place she looked. Around her, the waiting area buzzed with muted confidence, designer suits, flawless skin, laughter too rehearsed to be real. Sleek tablets slid effortlessly between manicured hands as they flipped through digital portfolios and compared internships like trading cards. Then that voice. Sharp, sweet, and dripping with fake concern. Lost. A woman, pristine in a tailored cream pantsuit, raised a brow and let her gaze skim Elena up and down like a barcode she couldn't scan. The smirk was soft, but it cut deep. Elena didn't respond. She didn't need to. Her silence said enough. She sank into the farthest corner of the room, folding into the shadows, careful not to disturb the light. She felt invisible, and maybe part of her wanted to be. She didn't belong here. That much was clear. But Maya, dear, persistent Maya, had insisted. They're looking for someone different, she'd said. Someone who sees the world sideways. Someone who solves problems others don't even notice. Elena had laughed bitterly. What did she have to offer? No shiny degree, no big-name recommendations. Just an overworked brain, a busted laptop, and notebooks, stacks of them, filled with meticulous ideas and quiet genius no one had ever asked for. One by one, names were called. Faces disappeared through the glass interview door, sleek, soundproof, and far too dramatic, like it led into an operating room or a courtroom. Each time it opened, the air felt colder, the pressure heavier. Elena's stomach tightened with each step closer to her turn. By the time the assistant called her name, she felt like she was being led into an arena. Not for a job interview, no. This felt like battle. Inside the room, the chill was sharper. The long, glossy table felt too big, too impersonal. 3 figures sat behind it, perfectly spaced like chess pieces. In the center, Mr. Thorne, all silver hair, steel eyes, and a reputation for slicing through applicants without mercy. On his right, a woman in a tailored gray suit, clipboard in hand, calculating. On the left, a younger man, thick glasses and a smirk that looked like it came standard with his MBA. Thorne didn't hide his reaction. His disappointment was almost audible. "You're Elena Ruiz?" She nodded. Worked at a diner. A dry cleaner. Tutors kids in math. "Yes, sir." No degree. No formal business background. And this resume. He lifted it between 2 fingers, like it smelled funny. This was typed on a typewriter? "My laptop broke," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "But I—" He cut her off with a raised hand. "Already done." The woman leaned forward. "Ms. Ruiz, this is a highly competitive innovation role. We're dealing with complex analytics, strategic modeling, forward-thinking solutions. What makes you think you belong at this table?" She wanted to answer. Oh, she wanted to. She wanted to talk about how she taught herself calculus late at night with borrowed textbooks, how she'd built a budgeting app by hand to help moms in her neighborhood stop living paycheck to paycheck. She wanted to explain how she saw patterns, in numbers, in people, in systems, the way most saw shapes or sound. But none of that made it out. All she could manage was, "I solve problems." There was a beat of silence, then a chuckle. Not cruel, not direct, but amused. Condescending.
Thorne let out a sigh.
"Thank you for coming in." And just like that, it was over. Elena rose slowly. Her throat was tight, her cheeks hot with shame. She gave a small nod, turned toward the door, and prepared to leave with what little dignity she had left. But then, "Mr. Thorne?" The numbers just came in. The Valari pitch failed. They pulled out. The voice from the hallway cut the air like a blade. Shock rippled through the room. The young exec cursed. The woman in gray went ghost pale. Thorne's jaw clenched. "Everyone out. Now." Elena was already halfway through the door. She should have kept walking. But something inside her, stubborn, quiet, burning, held her in place. She turned around. "I can fix it." They all froze. Thorne narrowed his eyes. "Excuse me? I saw the Valari presentation. It was playing in the lobby. You built a clever logistics framework, but you ignored behavioral adoption metrics. They pulled out because they forecasted a 17% drop in retention after Q3. The room held its breath. If you'd run a cluster analysis on user stress behavior patterns, you'd have seen it. "I can show you." And just like that, they didn't laugh. They listened.
For the first time.
No one really knew why they let her stay. Maybe it was shock. Maybe curiosity. Maybe they had nothing left to lose. But they moved her to a side room, handed her a marker, and gestured to the massive glass board. This was her moment, and it felt terrifying. Her hands shook. Her legs wanted to fold. But she lifted the marker and began. Lines.
Arcs. Dots.
Patterns. Projections. She spoke, at first in a whisper, then with strength. She described human behavior, decision loops, emotion triggers. How data only told half the story. Then the marker slipped. A sharp squeal on glass. Her hand fumbled. The pen dropped, rolled across the floor. She bent to grab it.
Missed.
Again. Laughter bubbled from the young man in glasses. And something snapped. She stood. Not apologizing. Not shrinking. She wiped the entire board clean.
Gasps.
"You're not losing deals because of data," she said, voice steady now. "You're losing because you forgot your users are people. Exhausted, overwhelmed, human. You keep adding complexity. I'm going to remove it." She drew again, not charts, but stories. Not metrics, but moments. A flow that made sense because it was built with empathy. Her voice rang out like a bell. The same people who had rolled their eyes? Now they leaned in. "You can reverse the drop?" Thorne asked, voice low. "Yes," she said. "And how will you do that?" She smiled. "By listening." The next Monday her phone rang. It wasn't a job offer. It was a leadership role. Elena Ruiz, once the invisible girl in the corner, now ran the Human Insight Division, a team built from scratch under her direction. She walked back into Morel and Company not with trembling hands, but with purpose. Same sneakers. Same oversized blazer. But this time a presentation clicker in hand. Halfway through her pitch to the board, when the new retention numbers appeared and the impossible spike glowed on screen, someone audibly gasped. She clicked to the last slide. 3 words. "We found them." Silence, and then thunderous applause. Mr. Thorne rose to his feet. Then the others followed. A full standing ovation. Tears welled in her eyes. She didn't hide them. She let them fall. Because after all the silence, all the doubt, she had been heard. And this time, no one dared to tell her to sit down.